I only have myself. I don't have like a backup plan. Like I have, great friends and I've got my boyfriend and I do have family, but I don't feel that anyone has my back more than me. And so I don't feel that I can like really afford to like get off my own team and feel like a loser, or feel like I lost out on something so fundamental that I would want to re-roll the dice. Like I don't really feel like I've got that space. David Greene is a voice you may be familiar with if you listen to NPR's Morning Edition, and he's now the host of a new show, David Greene is Obsessed. David's story is about finding mentorship and responding to the type of mentorship you have when you're very, very young, in your parents. This is a story about embracing some of your default settings and challenging others. I've looked up to David for a long time, and we've known each other for a few years now, and I can't wait to share with you all that I learned with David today. Tell me about your mentor, David.
When you asked me who I think about as a mentor and someone who had an influence over my life, it immediately, I turn to my mom. But it immediately gets complicated because I always feel like a mentor is inherently positive, like a positive influence on your life, and has taught you important values and skills. And my mom was so much that in so many ways. But, I lost her in 2006 when I was about to turn 30 years old. And it was a really complicated journey, and then a journey that just suddenly ended abruptly and out of the blue, like she's gone. And so it's been years of therapy to kind of sort out that relationship. And mentorship is so much a part of it, but also I think along with that, codependence and guilt and wanting to please her and what that means. And it's just really, so it's just so interesting to think about, because I think mentorship and influence, it's like you want to go positive so quickly, but it's not always that. And it's just so much more layered and complicated.
Yeah. I mean, the word, like, it evokes like help, and like there's these mentor programs, which programs are good, right? And it has a lot to do with like youth. Like you think about these words, you think about the word as bound in like this certain context, but really like it is just, to me, it's like a moment or a repeated pattern of learning from somebody. And I don't even think that someone can know that they're mentoring you or that they are your mentor. I think it's often that you, despite yourself, learn from somebody or are following them or are influenced by them, like you said. So can we go back to like, young David, and when you first started feeling that like gravitational influence from your mom, and I assume this is in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and the nature of it, what it felt like, and what it was up against? Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, I mean, the word gravitational really hits me because the gravitational pull was like there was no choice, because it was just the two of us. I mean, my parents were divorced, and I had and still have a relationship with my dad, which is great. Learned a lot about, my mom through him, since, I don't have access to her anymore, which has been really helpful. But, from 2 years old, it was just the two of us. We moved to Florida together, and then moved to Pittsburgh, where my dad was. So I would, see him a lot, but it was very much just the two of us. And so the gravitational pull was strong because there wasn't really an option. I mean, it was, I had this super up close view of an adult, and so much of what I learned as a young person was through her. And a lot of it was so great. Like my mom was, in her good times, I mean, she was outgoing and she just had this infectious curiosity about people,
Mhm.
which, I now realize has shaped me as a journalist, as an interviewer. She would just love being around people, and friendships were really important to her. I think she had a lot of insecurities and uh, worries about herself, and battled depression. But when she could be accepted in a room and in a friendship, it really meant a lot to her. And so, I saw that up close, and I think that's why friendships are so important to me, and I just hold on to them so dearly. Like my closest
Mhm.
friends will tell you like that it's just ride or die for my entire life, to a point where I don't even look for new friends because I feel like those old friendships are so sacred. Like I don't want to let them go. She taught psychology. She would walk across campus when she was teaching at like Franklin and Marshall College when I was a teenager, and she would just like meet and greet anybody. It didn't matter if you
Mm.
were another professor, if you worked on the facilities crew, if you were a freshman, if you were just someone from the neighborhood. She just wanted to know your story. And she just believed that everyone had a story to tell. And it was just a matter of being respectful and listening, which has made me who I am as a
Yeah.
journalist. But then there were darker sides too. And when she
Mhm.
would battle, intense depression, I was the person that she turned to, which is really, really hard when you're like 8, 9, 10 years old. And that's when I think things could get really, really difficult and were hard, and I'm still kind of processing today.
Mhm. When you were in the, like, observatory side or of her, like, social interactions, like, are you in them? Are you, like, because 'cause I'm imagining you walking across campus with her or seeing some of this stuff happen, and are you, like, a part of it? Are you like, what is your experience with all these interactions? Are you excited by the other people's story? Like, I'm just like, I'm interested in like the little David that is like both taking in the interaction and also like processing it for your own self because
hmm
you're there for it.
I think early on it was just like fun.
Yeah.
I mean, when she was in grad school at the University of Pittsburgh, I was probably like 8, 9, 10 years old, and she would have parties at our house with like, dozens of other grad school students.
Whoa.
And I remembered the fun. Like she would have me pouring beer out of the keg,
That's so
which like
you're the kid.
I'm the
Okay.
kid, but I'm also like one of the adults, which
Yeah.
was so
Yep.
fun. And I felt
Mhm.
like I was not just a kid, but I felt older than my years because I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if I was sipping any of the beer. I don't think so, but like I knew how to pour beer out of a keg, like, and actually angle the tap in the right way from a
Uh-huh.
very early age.
Mhm.
And she'd throw lobster parties, and we'd go buy like 50 live lobsters and put them in our bathtub,
Mhm.
and then steam
That's
them for. I mean, and the house stunk for like weeks. But it was just fun. And I think the life of the party side of me, it comes from that. But then later, it really was relationships. I mean, when she was teaching at Franklin and Marshall College,
Mhm.
one of the heads of security, like basically a college police officer, lived 2 doors down from us, and that's not a natural friendship for a
Mhm.
faculty member to be friends with, a neighbor who works in security.
Mhm.
But like the three of us would go to an off-track wagering spot in Harrisburg and like bet on horses together all night long.
Mhm.
And it was both fun, but it was also like I loved my mom for kind of taking John under her wings, and that friendship meaning so much to her. And she was non-judgmental. Like there was
Mhm.
no sense of like hierarchy or
Mhm.
who's smarter than whom or what kind of job do you have. It was
Mhm.
just like pure joy and friendship, which is so beautiful.
And boundaryless, right?
Boundaryless,
And
yeah.
it's almost like that boundarylessness, like, opened up for you, like, what types of humans are out there? Like, what are the different jobs? What are people, like, I can only imagine, like, these parties and these social interactions being, like, just so different than like most 8-year-olds who are meeting like people their age mostly, and maybe being exposed to some of this stuff from afar, but not like getting the direct interaction with like the type of conversation, thought, and like affect that you could adopt for yourself if you wanted. Like it can all I can imagine that it like opens up for you what's possible, you know?
Yeah. And I think I fight for that. Like there've been times when I feel like I've been defending that approach to
How?
life. Like there's one conversation that stays with me. Like my mom, we were diehard sports fans together. And so we'd watch the Pittsburgh Steelers like every weekend together. And I grew up loving Steelers culture. I mean, like, we lived in Pittsburgh, and I stayed true to, I still am a diehard Steelers fan to this day. And it's just that the whole Steelers culture is built on just like blue collar work ethic, like steel town. I mean, the Steelers lifted up the city when the steel industry was collapsing. It's just like that grit, and that is everything. And years later, like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's actually my book agent, and we were talking about a next book to write. And he was like, David, I think you should write about Pittsburgh and sports. I was like, okay, why do you think that? He's like, because you just love cultivating that identity as like one of the guys at the sports bar. And it's like, you see him, you were in public radio, and you present as like an intellectual and a little nerdy, but like you love countering that by being the like guy in the sports bar. And I got furious.
Really?
I remember I slammed my bourbon on the bar, and I was like, Howard, like I'm not cultivating anything. Like that is who I am. That is where I come from. Like there's nowhere I would rather be than in a sports bar on a Sunday watching my Steelers. There's nowhere I'd rather be on a Sunday than like in my mom's living room watching a football game, drinking beer, and eating like really bad nachos. Like that is who I am. It's where I want to be. And I reflected on why I was so angry. And I think it came from like I'm defending this space that my mom and I had together. Don't ever suggest that there's anything artificial about that.
Right. It's like you are kaleidoscopic by nature. Like you were raised as a kaleidoscope, know, like these things fit together, they shift, and it's beautiful and it's seamless, and it like genuinely is who you are. It's not who you're trying to be.
Right.
Which is like, I can imagine is like a very, like
and Howard was apologetic immediately. He's like, no, I'm not saying like, and he's a dear friend, but it was like, it definitely hit me. It just felt like us, for better or worse. It didn't feel like we were doing anything for any reason. It was just who we were. She's a college professor who would use the fax machine at her office to send bets to her bookie. Like, and I'm not going to apologize for that. It's weird, but it's who we were. Like we were a mother and son who loved sports and loved off-track wagering and loved going to the racetrack, and like she would spend way too much money gambling, and like the day when she died, the first debt I had to pay off was to her bookie. And that's weird, but like that's who we were, and no one should be telling me that like there's anything manufactured about that.
Right. And now to be like reflecting on it is different. I'm thinking about, I just started family therapy with my family for the first time ever. And it's been like a really beautiful thing, but we've never done it. And it occurred to me that we never talked about the way we did things. And I think that might be really specific also to like single parents with children, because there's not like a parenting conversation to be had. There's a parent and there's a kid. And so to like intellectualize about it is like, doesn't seem that built into the fabric of the like dynamic, because there's just, this is what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I felt similarly in very different ways of like never talking about the process, just living.
Yeah.
Right.
Never questioning it.
Never
you weren't equipped to question it either. Like that's the way it is.
Exactly. And even if you had reference for that, it was different. Because really, actually, I was asked like, did I feel different? And I actually did. I was like, no, I knew this was a different situation, but I was still living it fully. I wasn't Oh,
I mean, you weren't in a traditional kind of
I
family
knew
role
that.
because you lost your mom. And
Yeah, I knew that. Like, I knew it was different, but I wasn't like over intellectualizing it as you're talking about. I'm just saying this was how we lived.
Yep.
And I think like what I'm trying to get at and what I'm really interested in is like, I think something that you and I might have in common, but maybe not. But I think something we might have in common is like we've lived very unique lives where like if someone were to put a microscope too close or like had slowed us down to think too much about it, we might not have like done it. Like I do think we've paved certain paths that require you to kind of like dumbly, shamelessly, and bravely just like go forth and do what you do. And you do what you do because it's what you do, whether it's playing sports or paving a path. And I guess what I'm wondering is like, is that mentality of like, this is what we do, is there a really positive side to like not overthinking what you do? You know, I know we're going to talk about like other sides of it, but like I do admire you because I feel that you seem to not like over caveat yourself. Like you seem to do things and be yourself fairly comfortably. Doesn't mean your path is easy or every moment is easy, but it feels like there's some sort of like whatever it is that I am, it may be different, but this is what I am.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think everything you're saying is really resonates. And I've never thought about it in this kind of way, but I think it does come from the way my mom and I lived our lives, because it was not normal, whatever that means. We weren't, no one could explain what we were doing. Don't you dare suggest, as my friend did with the whole Pittsburgh thing, that we're doing it for some sort of reason. It's just who we were, which I think, the beautiful side of that for me is, I'm sure you've felt this yourself. It's like you just sort of follow the path that feels right.
Yeah.
You know, you want to have impact. You want to do something that feels inspiring. You just go for it. There's a danger of being too impulsive. And also I think for me, like there's an emperor with no clothes on aspect of it sometimes where I'm like, do people think I'm crazy? And do people think this is like somehow performative? And like, I might think when I left NPR, where I was for years, you know, and I covered wars and I'd been in Russia and been in Ukraine. I left NPR and then the most recent invasion happened and I had to go back to Ukraine. But I went back with no like apparatus of a major news organization. No, like I had to figure out security on my own with my, new business partners in this small new company. But I was determined to go to Ukraine. My wife Rose was like, well, I thought you were done with war zones. Like you left it. What are you doing? What are you doing there? But I had to go cover it. And I was deeply insecure about that. I even ran into some of my former colleagues from NPR in Ukraine who they were like, oh my God, David, it's so good to see you and you're still doing this. But for me, I was almost ashamed. It must seem so desperate that I'm doing this. So
but that's only from somebody else's lens, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not what you were feeling. It's what you were feeling about maybe what other people were feeling about you.
Right. And that's what I mean. It's the fear of judgment, which I think is some of the tension when you live your life in this kind of way. You're not always owning the fact that it's just easy breezy to live this way and own it.
It's almost like if you like grew up kind of, the word that I use for myself is like a bit like feeling like a fairy or feeling a bit like feral or like a little wild, which doesn't mean you didn't have like some structures around you. It just is fundamentally different than the average. There is that feeling that perhaps there's a standard you're not following, but you're not following it because you don't want to.
Right.
You're not following it because you were just wild or feral or whatever word resonates with you. Sometimes I have that same thing of like, do people think I'm trying to be different or do something controversial or out there? Because like I would rather just fit in, but I unfortunately I cannot wear those clothes and feel like myself.
Right.
you know?
But
And
you feel
so
you feel the judgment sometimes, or you think you feel the judgment, even if it's coming from within you and not
you can
from other
feel
people.
it. Yeah, sometimes you feel it, and sometimes you're aware of what it would be if you like turned the volume up. You can't hear it, right?
Yeah.
So you could invent it. You could write the script for them if you wanted. But eventually, I do think if you do so much as yourself, which maybe we shouldn't call ourselves feral or wild, maybe we should just say as us, as we've become based on who we are and how we grew up. If you do it so fully and as such a saturated version of yourself, I do think that the world starts to actually just blanket sort of accept like this one's different, and then anything you do is actually blanket more accepted. And the closest comparison I could give you is I went to college at Oregon and there was a German girl on my team, Anne. And it was so funny because she did some strange things, put syrup on the wrong foods or things like that, for example.
Or maybe it was the right
And
foods if you tasted it. Like it.
that's right. But it was so funny because she told me this secret. She goes, you know what my superpower is? She goes, everybody thinks that when I put, ketchup on this or when I say this, that it must be a German thing. She goes, it's actually not. But because they think it's a German thing, they're like, must be a German thing. But it really was just an Anne thing.
It's a her thing. Huh.
And she said it was like a superpower that they had this like catch-all reason so that no one was like, that's weird. And I was like, that is a superpower.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I could do anything. And people just think it must be German, And so I think there's something so beautiful about once you like really commit and accept that we don't really have another choice, but to be whatever that like the positive side of that is very freeing. And it's not really our choice, I think, to be this way if we're gonna accept who we are.
No, I think so too. And I from the moment that we met, like I've always just so admired you, at least the way you present to me, just, you own who you are. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's easier, right? If the sun's out, I've got my Gooders on. I wear them on literally every run, except for my 5 a.m. workouts that I've been doing with my teammates before the sun's even shining. But by the time the workout's over and the sun's up and I'm stopping into a cafe for brunch or a coffee, my Gooders are going on. These are the Gooder Sonic G's. They are the human energy drink color and I love them. They've got polarized lenses, an adjustable nose piece, and they're durable, lightweight, and the flexible nylon frames make me feel very fast. They do not bounce, and they do not get tangled in my hair. Hey, now that I think about it, the lights here in the podcast studio are kind of blinding like the sun. So my Gooders are on. Ready to upgrade your eyewear? Visit gooder.com/mentorbuffet to claim $10 off your first order. That's GOODR.com/mentorbuffet. Bye-bye. It sounds like, there were times when you were younger that it was like you needed to come in and be more than an 8-year-old. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I had to be, I think I had to be a son, a friend, partner, spouse. Like in my mom's darkest hours, she would not rely on anyone else but me.
Yeah.
That's it. And it. Can
you share? Is it like advice? Is it like, are you giving advice? Are you just an ear?
What can you do? Like my mom was a cognitive psychologist, and the advice would be like, Mom, I think you need to go see a psychologist. And when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, and she wouldn't do it. And that was horrifying to me because there'd be times of, crying and having someone, this most important person in my life, going through an episode with depression. And I felt completely helpless and completely terrified, wanting her to get help, wanting to bring her help and not knowing how to do it at all. And being scared because she's, all I have at that point. It's like if you become unstable or you hurt yourself or something terrible, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Also, the overwhelming weight of feeling like it was all on me. And I just
Right.
did not feel equipped at all. And I think that's the dark side of, mentorship influence. It's like she was the only source of any of that for me,
Mm-hmm.
which in its great times is great because like I felt like she was just giving me these gifts. But then when it turns really dark, it's like, who's going to be there for me? And
Mm-hmm.
what am I supposed to do right now? And when you're young, like you just feel like the world's falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was angry. Like I was angry that she wouldn't get help. And I was angry that she put it all on me. And that's never gone away.
Because it's not fair,
No.
right? And it's not reasonable. And it's really not possible, I think, for someone like that young to handle even a small amount of what you probably handled. Like, and I think that can be so hard with like people we love, is that as we grow older and we realize how unfair, we might know it in the moment, but to accept it in adulthood is also to accept that we want to believe in love, right? And that's the most powerful thing we want, right? We want to be loved. We want to love. And so to say that something was fractured about it, is it challenging? Like, we want to believe it was love all along, right? And it can be love all along, but if it had this like element that was terribly unfair, are we denying love altogether? If like someone didn't treat us the way that they should have growing up, and it was meant to be a loving thing, sometimes humans, and I did this, will like create a repeated pattern that's similar in adulthood. Because if we can convince ourselves that it's love today, like if we can make it feel good today in a repeated pattern, even with a different person, then we can convince ourselves that it was good all along and that it was like good love all along.
Mm.
And that feels better. Like I was in a relationship that was very, it was abusive. And my partner actually said he knew that I would never leave, because I would have rather my mom been really not good to me and stayed than abandon me and like take her own life, right? So if I end up with someone who's like abusive and cheating and whatever, he knows I would rather stay with him and rather it stay than have him leave me or me leave him, because that's kind of contradictory to like the love I got as a child.
Which gives him so much power.
He knew it, and he said it. He said he knew that. And so he did a lot of things knowing he could do that stuff. And so I guess what I'm saying, and I don't mean to like go there with this, but I'm just, whatever, you're my like buddy too, is like, I think sometimes the hardest thing to do is to say like, that wasn't okay. Like the way that happened wasn't okay. It can still be that like I was loved, but that wasn't okay is like the hardest thing for us to say sometimes, because it means like it wasn't acceptable love all along. When in the moment, when we were young, we were probably trying to make everything feel okay. So to now say it wasn't okay is really painful. And it's a rejection of like a lot of tactics we probably used to make it feel okay back then. And so it's almost like a betrayal of even ourself back then.
Oh my God. Everything you said just feels really, I mean, I remember, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I remember.
We're just
doing.
I
remember like in first learning about you and you being so open about this feeling of like, why didn't my mom love me enough to stay in my life? Like that, that has always, and I have a completely different journey, obviously, but that experience for you hits so hard when it comes to what love meant to someone so young. And I think that's what was so confusing. Like my mom showered me with love in the good moments.
Yeah.
Like, and I knew that how much she loved me, but when she wouldn't go get help and put it all on me, Like, I think that felt so unloving and not caring about me and not looking out for me that's so confusing.
It's so
And I think
confusing.
it totally manifests in relationships today. And my wife, Rose, like she and I have been incredibly honest about how this is a part of me. And I like desperately cling and like constantly am needing validation and to know that I'm, pleasing her and keeping her happy because of the darkness of my childhood when things could turn so quickly and I would feel unloved. It's like I need to hold on to this and make sure that in this transaction, like I'm doing everything I possibly can to stay loved. And
even if it hurts you.
Yeah, even if it hurts and hurts the other person, because when you're like desperately focusing on yourself, like you think that it's this really loving thing, but it can present as like selfish.
Yes.
Like I'm focusing on me right now. I'm doing so many things right now to make sure that you love me. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm being such a good husband. I'm like being the best person in the world. Like I'm doing all these generous things.
Yeah.
And I've realized in like lots of therapy together, it's like there are times when that can seem really selfish. Like you're literally focusing on yourself right now. Yes. And I'm like, no, I'm focusing on you. I'm focusing on pleasing you and keeping you happy. And it's just, it gets so messed up.
Dude, 100, well said. And like 100%. It's so wild because in your heart, you believe like you're good. And I do believe like we believe in our parents being good. Like
yes.
they're good people. So when you realize like that even with good intentions and good heart, like you could have that effect, it's also jarring just to your, I don't know, your sense of integrity as a human, which if you are someone of integrity, that like is not a good feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously it takes a level of growth and trust to believe that it'll be okay if you shift the way you approach that stuff, which is not in your default settings
right.
until you reprogram and do all that work. And then it's wild when like someone else so clearly sees something in you that you don't in your adulthood. It's like it's a wild journey that seems to affect the people we love the most when it happened with the people we love the most.
Yeah. It's such a reprogramming. I think this my default setting is to please someone and keep them as happy as possible makes me safer.
I have the exact same setting.
and to deprogram that has been years. And and I think it has to be like a forgiveness thing, a reminder that like I am, my therapist has said like it's about, do you care and are you trying? And like, that's enough. And you don't have to, like, you're never going to know if you're pleasing the other person enough to be safe. Like, but that's years of counter programming. It's still going. And I wonder too, if it's taking that single beat to not go right into, defensiveness.
Yes.
I am so grateful to be married to someone who like can have these kinds of conversations together in our relationship, which is like huge. I feel so lucky. And it's like we've both learned from each other, I think, that it's like it is okay to feel that someone is doing X, and it doesn't mean that like it's accusatory or that person needs to defend their turf. It's like, Rose might experience me as being selfish, and it's like I immediately would be like, selfish, bad, that's horrible. You're accusing me of that. It's like, hold on a second. Like let me hear more about why she feels that way. And B, let me think about like, yeah, maybe I was being selfish. And that's okay, like in this circumstance. And we can talk it out. I think abandonment is one. It's like if you say that you feel abandoned by someone, it's like it doesn't necessarily mean that person needs to litigate. But like the feeling's real. And these words, I think you're totally right. These words are just openings to explore something. They don't need to carry some like negative or positive weight that has to stay locked in.
Forever, exactly. And it's interesting because that word that for you must obviously make you feel like you might be abandoned, because if selfish is bad and you are that, then this is leading you down the path that you're trying to avoid most in the world, right? So I've actually been traveling a lot less this year, but I'm trying to explore LA by foot more. And I want to look good and feel good as I grow as an artist and athlete. The other day, I was sitting at my computer writing a new movie and I was stuck until I stepped outside of my routine, literally. I went to the top of Dirt Mulholland Trail. And there, I was in nature, and all of a sudden, an abundance of ideas came to me. It's about what opens up when you change your environment, even a little bit. Lately, I've been loving the Relay. This has been my style shoe. I actually wear them everywhere. I even wore them to Sundance this year. And for over 45 years, Merrell has been the global leader on trail, innovating and crafting footwear designed for adventures of all speeds and sizes. You can use the code MentorBuffet2026 for 25% off your first purchase at Merrell.com. I'm also writing a new book with Random House. And
congratulations.
It's gonna be fun. It's like I'm behind on my deadline. But
who's not? Who's like any
can
author?
we just talk about right now?
Yeah,
if you are an author and you're living a really big multi-hyphenate life and that's part of your writing, it's very hard to balance the writing from
editors will understand.
Editors will understand. They don't. They're amazing. But I've been thinking a lot about like people as the book is about change and about people as like verbs, not nouns, because like identity and all these like fixed words and who we are, even like Olympian, like all these things that are forever can reinforce that idea that even those words that the words that we use to describe a passing circumstance, like being selfish in a moment, being whatever needy in a moment. I'm just trying to think about myself more as a verb.
What do you mean? Like how would you describe yourself as a verb instead of a noun?
Like I think that anything that's alive is changing, no matter what. If you're alive, you're changing. You may be changing subconsciously. You may be changing against your will. You may be negatively adapting, but we are always changing, right? And everything that is alive is always changing. That is like the definition of being alive and not inanimate or dead. I
love that.
And even dead things obviously are changing, but like they're not changing in the alive way.
Right.
And so I think that, to think about ourselves that way is true. And it like, I think gets us away from that, like those fixed thoughts. And I think that in the case of like processing the influences in our life, like if only as a kid I could have realized like none of this stuff was gonna like stick. Like if I had a more verb mentality as a kid, I wouldn't have tried to figure out a way to be something forever, to matter forever, to be good forever. I would be more forgiving of myself in any one moment and let myself move more smoothly through good and bad and not hold on too tight to it. And I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think it's a healthier way to like see ourselves as we process like the profound impact of, our past, and take it with like the perspective of like we keep what's good, we leave what's bad. Even what's good might like dull over time if we're not like staying in shape with it or aware of it, The limiting beliefs that are driving our fears are beliefs that anything is more permanent than it is anyway. I know some things are permanent and those things we should be reverent to, but we're verbs. So like none of this has to be for another moment.
I love the idea of this active course as opposed to living by labels. And I think about living as a verb, and my mind immediately goes to resentment because, and I'll get to my question for you, but because like I had this enormous influence on my life, which was my mom, biggest influence in my life, and like it was an active relationship that I was working on, and then April 27, 2006, it's over. the action stops. It's no longer a verb because she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I am deprived of the chance to work on healing and learning and growing with her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have this profound influence from a mother, and like your ability to work on that relationship with her was cut short so early.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels so frustrating that it can't, like those relationships don't live as verbs anymore. They live as like, they are now static. They ended in one place, and there's like, we can heal on our own, but there's no way to work on these relationships that have had so much influence on us. And I resent that every day.
Well, from their perspective, right? But what about from yours? Because you're still relating to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I see it as like much more alive, not for her. And that's why I feel bad for her, because I think that we could have been great friends. We could have been great friends. Isn't that such a crazy thing to say about your parents? We could have been great friends. That's all we want. It's an amazingly beautiful thing. Even coming back to your like friendships are super important to you thing is like all we want is to like be great friends with our parents. That's really awesome. Because it is what I think, like without thinking. We could have been great friends. Could have been girls, you know?
Would you resent that? Like, or have you gotten over the...
It's like comes in waves of attitude. Like when I was younger, I was like, her loss, like I'm awesome. You know, like that sort of like, she doesn't realize how awesome I could have been in her life. And then there's like, I need this mom, like somebody help me like get out of this someone tell me like what to do here. And it feels distinctly like I need that from a mom sometimes. Sometimes I feel like my loss for lacking that. But I do think it's very, very alive insofar as, you know, the more I change, the more my empathy for her and imagination about her changes. So I let my imagination be a very real part of the relationship with her of like, oh, what would she think of this? And because my mom was so mischievous, sometimes when I get into mischievous situations, I'm like, it's not that bad. Like what she did was worse. And that kind of makes me laugh. And but I also don't want to like go too off the rails. So I have such a imaginative relationship with her. Or like when I have really good luck, I'm like, I know you did that. Like I really do have like really beautiful luck. And then I have some really bad luck where I'm like, oh, of course, like you didn't let me get that cocky, you know? So I really think these things. I don't know what I think about like otherworldly things, but I do think she's like like a Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream, a mischievous good. And your mom sounds mischievous in her own ways. And so there's some element of, it's a conversation with myself really about relating, you know, and having some point of reference for how I see myself and my actions in the world. There's also a mystery, right? If she was so out there that she did what she did, and if your mom was so unusual, how capable are we? Like we could try to channel it good and not like to be addicted to drugs like my mom was, or and I know you can't always control that, but like we can try to channel it in like not into gambling or drugs. And but mischief and bravery is like you could channel it like the sun's heat in like a really positive direction. Then don't you just feel super capable? Like the more you learn about her, isn't it kind of like remarkable? And then you're half her. So like learning more. That's also, you said you were having conversations with your dad about your mom, about things you didn't know. So every fact, like I eat it up like a whole cake. I'm like, oh my God, a single fact is a mind unlock for me about myself and about her. And so the relationship obviously is alive because every little thing I learn either about her or about myself or about the world will change my orientation with her.
I love that. No, and it's eye-opening for me because I think I do let the resentment get in the way of that. And I think your metaphor that's like a piece of cake every time you learn something is so true. And that is also a path to healing and forgiveness because it gives me like sometimes a better understanding of what her reality was and that she was doing the best she could.
Yeah.
Even if it was hard.
Do you think you're awesome?
I do think I'm awesome. I love that you threw that question. Yes.
Yeah.
It's I don't think I'm awesome in all ways, but I feel awesome.
You're rad. And I feel like you're rad. You didn't like just choose to be rad. You really are like, you're rad, like through every layer of you is rad. Do you know what I mean? You're not like surface level rad. You're like solid rad.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And if you think you're rad, I think I'm rad.
You are rad.
But it's an earned thing. It's like we became this way because of all the things. And so it's like, whatever it was, we are here. And I really think that is like the greatest response to the resentment is like, well, I'm not going to re-roll the dice. I mean, I guess there's like some sort of fascination with re-rolling dice of your circumstances, but it's not worth it to give up the ephemeral radness that I could only earn through that perspective.
Yeah, it means a lot to hear you say that, because I don't think I would re-roll the dice. Like sometimes I'm like, what if I could have her here today? Like, what would that be like? Could be really, really bad in a lot of ways. Could be really beautiful in a lot of ways. But you're right. Like, why do we need to, if we feel rad, then that was just one vital relationship in our lives that helped get us here.
Yeah. And it's still like upsetting and sad. I think I'm also just like such an athlete. Like, I don't like losing. So I think like anytime I'm going to have a conversation with you about this, I'm always going to be like, how can we win?
Mm-hmm.
And like winning even means like, how do we see this so that we feel better? And so maybe I'm even like flawed. Like maybe my perspective, like maybe I need a bit more of like grief attention or something.
I think you've been through it.
Yeah. But I just mean
faking the.
Well, I'm just trying to say I don't think I'm right. I'm just trying to be honest with you with the thoughts that come to my mind, and I have that impulse that instinct, that impulse, that desire to be like, what's good about this, or how can we see this differently? And like, I even see like shocking big things that happen to us as like, and especially the things we don't choose, as like expediters, right? They expedite things. They expedite things that are painful, and then they expedite things that we need to face or that we can now see. And I have to believe that, because any other way of thinking just like feels lame to me. It just feels like there's always another way to see everything. So why wouldn't I try to see it this way? And then why wouldn't I try to like find the reverse reasons why that actually feels true? The like more, I don't know if it's the optimistic perspective or it's the like one that stays on my own team and doesn't feel like a loser. Because I only have myself. I think that's the other thing is like, I don't know if you identify with this, but like, I don't have like a backup plan. Like I have, great friends, and I've got my boyfriend, and I do have family, but I don't feel that anyone has my back more than me. And so I don't feel that I can like really afford to like get off my own team and feel like a loser, or feel like I lost out on something so fundamental that I would want to re-roll the dice. Like, I don't really feel like I've got that space.
No, I think you're right. And that it's taken me a long time to even start to get there, because I think when I worry so much about keeping other people happy, I'm not focusing on what you just said, but it definitely getting dangerously close to 50 years old. Like, and just thinking about life, it's like, as much as I adore my wife and adore my friends and family, like that is the relationship that truly matters the most. And feeling that sense of peace inside, as opposed to worrying about, giving everyone else a sense of peace and happiness, makes me better, and makes me better able to be in relationships that serve other people. It takes a long time, or took a long time for me to, I could say those words. It's taken me a long time to really feel that.
Yeah, it's like our meditation every day.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the stuff I meditate on, is like, what are the like repeated thoughts or like relationship with myself that I want to feel more like automatic. It's definitely not automatic. I talk to myself a lot.
Oh,
And like
all the time. I'm the same way all the time. And some crazy ass conversations. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there things you find yourself? I mean, you don't actually have to share this, but I think that's why LA is actually okay, because you end up having to drive a lot, and that is an opportunity to talk out loud to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I do that when I drive. Like between things, I'm like reset. Like, how do you want to be? Or like, what was the energy that you need to neutralize? Or So traffic, opportunity for self-reflection and relationship with yourself.
Yeah. Thank God for like instincts that, bring you back if a car is stopping in front of you. No, but those conversations can be great, but they can also be, I'm constantly saying like, don't be weak. Like, just don't be, just like stick up for yourself.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Which can be good, but it, not always.
I know you care about this person. And so there's some element of not wanting to like enter the bubble and make it anything other than either what you have intended for it, especially with someone who's no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is your alchemy now to like, it can be whatever you want it to be, right? This relationship is actually kind of in your control now, oddly enough, even though it was so out of your control. To me, everything can feel more and more beautiful, not more and more ugly. I think ugly is like almost like an easy way of seeing everything. Like, because beauty doesn't have to be like vapid.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty can be like I even think humans, like now we're realizing like, no, not all women should try to look the exact same. Please please look like different and like you. So like, I think a human value that's emerging out of everybody trying to be perfect is actually trying to embrace beauty that is not.
Yeah. I keep going back to you asking that great question. Like, are you awesome?
Yeah.
I think there was a time when my mind immediately would have gone to, have I been a great journalist? Have I changed the world? And I don't know if it's just you and your real sense of empathy and curiosity and friendship, or this room being meditative or something, but like my mind went right to like, am I healed? Do I care about other people? Like that was the definition of awesome more than some accomplishment, which was really cool.
Yeah. And are you proud of yourself for the journey you went from point A to point B to point C, no matter what, and especially because of where point A was?
Yeah.
I think we're so rad for whatever we started with and whatever we made of it.
Yeah, well put.
It's cool. And it kind of makes being in a tough situation all the less daunting, because once you've seen it, then you're kind of like, all right, what's the next deck of cards? Deal it to me. Like, deal tomorrow's cards.
Yeah,
I will.
I'm ready.
Yeah, give me the cards.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it becomes a little more game-like.
Yeah.
And you become someone who would bet on yourself.
Yep.
Which once you really would pick yourself first for your team, then like game on for life. It gets hella fun.
Yeah.
It gets hella fun. Like, of course you want other teammates, but like if you would pick yourself at least in the first 3 rounds of your own team, then you're doing pretty well. And that's not about like how good you are at all these outward facing things. It's about how do you think and how do you like navigate the unknown, which you can't even be prepared for, except to have like the cellular ability to handle change.
And also avoid the feeling of like, oh my God, am I being self-absorbed by saying that I'm the person I'm going to pick, that might be just some of my work. But yeah.
It's so funny because, I think that, I don't know where that comes from. Right. You think it would be bad to like be able, well, you don't even have to tell anyone that you would pick yourself first for your team.
That's a fair point. Like I imagine I'm thinking about going back to, me being the non-athlete in the room, like going back to picking teams like out on the field and me being the last one picked. If I had been up there saying like, oh, I'm going to pick myself right now, not liking someone who had done that. But you're right. Like you can pick yourself on your own.
It's literally about that, right? This is all more about like how you relate to yourself.
Yeah.
And hopefully like a lot of people would pick themselves first for their own team.
Yes.
Because they're stuck with themselves too, right? It's like you are on your own team even if you didn't pick yourself. That's kind of the paradox of it too, right? Like you don't really have a choice.
Right. You better pick
You
may as
better
well
pick yourself.
Is
Yeah.
it not like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a moment that has stayed with me my whole career that I'm still really grateful for. And I think about it a lot as I kind of in my professional relationships. I was coming out of college and I had applied for a newspaper internship at the St. Petersburg Times, great newspaper in Florida. I'd gotten it. There was an editor named Bill Stevens who had assigned me to this like rural Florida bureau where there are all these wacky stories to tell. I was super excited, committed, signed the papers, like had joined like a group house of interns living on Clearwater Beach. Like it was gonna be a great summer after college.
Mm-hmm.
The last minute, I got this other offer from the Baltimore Sun to be the research librarian in Washington. And I was like, it's Washington, it's the Baltimore Sun. They were saying that like maybe this could turn into a job, but I had committed
Mm-hmm.
to this internship, and I was torturing myself because I felt so guilty about even asking. Like I was going to let Bill down. He wasn't going to find another intern. And I was just like tortured. And I just decided on my own, I guess. And I don't remember if someone gave me advice or not, but it was like, just communicate like to another human. Just lay it all on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Everything inside me in that moment. I called Bill up and I just said, Bill, I want to tell you, like, I'm torturing myself. I have this other offer from the Baltimore Sun. I was really excited. I am really excited to work for you as an intern. I know I signed the papers. I will honor that commitment. But also I'm really struggling because this job in Washington seems really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, what would you do? And he said, I'm going to hate myself for saying this, because you are leaving me like without an intern and it's too late. And the weather in DC in the summer is going to be shit, and you're going to give up the chance to be on Clearwater Beach. But if I were in your shoes, I would go work in DC. And if you want to know that you have my blessing to do that, like I give it to you. And that pushed me in the career direction that, I might have gone to St. Petersburg and had a great career too. But I am so grateful to him. And I don't know I think the lesson for me was, even if you don't know the right thing or the wrong thing, just hold out hope that another human being will engage with you, even if you don't know where the conversation is going to go. Be honest, be authentic, say how you're feeling, say what's inside. And for him, it was an act of true generosity. I sent him a lot of thank yous, and I wish I could have done something more. But that was an interaction that I still really, really appreciate to this day.
That sounds so like that exact age too, of
Yeah.
like we have these choices and we're trying to like apply for multiple things or explore multiple paths, and yet, unlike in college where you're in one place, like you're meant to be at that one school, suddenly you're released into the real world where there's a million things, and there's a lot of shame about being honest.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Right?
And fear, shame and fear. Like you're going to disappoint someone or do the wrong thing or burn the wrong bridge or
totally. And that there's going to be like a consequence. And also it kind of is like assuming that you know the future, because you're basically like, or it's a conflict with the future, because you're saying, I don't know if this is the right choice. I don't know what choice to make. I also don't know if this is going to be like acceptable, because I've already in the past made this like commitment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like basically an experience where you put your take, you've put your honest take in the universe, which wasn't a conclusion. It was just, here's where I'm at.
Yes.
And it wasn't all buttoned up yet. And then you let people actually help you and even get on your side and be your teammate when you were saying possibly no to the thing you'd committed to.
Yeah. And it's, I think once you're vulnerable in that way, sometimes you might be let down and someone's not going to play ball. Like, you could have said, like,
Totally.
no, you are coming here, or I'll sue you. Who knows? But once you're vulnerable and you invite someone else to be kind of vulnerable, like, suddenly you can start solving problems together. And
Yeah.
that's shaped me a lot. And I think it's so important in this world today, like, that it's so easy to not believe in the power of a relationship if you're making assumptions about someone. Like, I could have assumed that
Yeah.
this guy was going to be mad at me and never approached him. And
Totally.
like, in my work, like in trying to bridge differences in politics over hard issues like guns and abortion, it's like, just hold out hope that there's power in a relationship. Maybe you're going to be let down. Maybe someone's going to tell you to, like, bug off, but like,
Mhm.
maybe not. Maybe if
Mhm.
you're not a gun owner, you go to a gun owner and you're just like, I'm coming. I'm really scared for my kid to go to school.
Mhm.
And like, that person's going to be like, I am too. And our kids go to the same school. And
Mhm.
suddenly you're talking in relationship. And that's just sorely missing today.
Mhm.
And I
Totally.
think just believing in relationships, and at least trying is a really important skill.
It's really cool. I feel like we've had such an amazing conversation, and I really appreciate you opening up and like letting me also like compare some of my experiences. I think like we're close enough friends that I can do that, but I always want to be sensitive, with being like, I experienced this and it feels similar.
No,
But
I think we really connect and around all of that. And I'm
yeah.
really grateful for you to just be here with me.
If you're enjoying Mentor Buffet, follow Voicing Change for more inspirational and truly life-affirming content from shows like Soul Boom, The Proof, Feel Better, Live More, and the Rich Roll podcast. Just go to voicingchange.media. That's voicingchange.media for a beautiful selection of productive and positive shows.